this, you know. So welcome to Art 117 this morning. It's a bright, beautiful Monday morning. Still trying to deal with some of the aftermath from the showcase, from the Invent Oregon showcase from last Thursday night. Mostly because I didn't do anything this weekend in terms of more work. And they gave us lots of work to do. And sometimes, you know, it's the leader of Invent Oregon, the person who was kind of moderating the meeting last Thursday night, you know, they're interested in information and they want more information. They like to ask questions. And they also like to make work for us, which I don't always appreciate people trying to make more work for me. Especially the thing about the filter, is my filter, have I invented a brand new filter yet, is basically the implication here. Because if we're not working with a filter manufacturer that is doing the manufacturing of the filter products to make an N95 mask, what is our filter and how do we prove that it filters out a certain number of particles and whatnot? And I'm trying to come up with an answer for that. Maybe you guys can sort of help me or kind of work with me over time, over the next week or so, try to come up with an answer for that. So getting back to the basics on masks, a mask is better than no mask. That's the first truism. That's the first truth of all of this. Everybody, all experts and everybody can agree that a mask is better than no mask. And so then we get into all of the splitting hairs and, trying to make claims, whether they are false or factual, that a certain type of mask is better than all the other types of mask, and for here's why. So let me just again try to make the case for this mask just in terms of simplicity's sake. And we're gonna play with this and maybe some variations on this theme as we go. But basically the cloth mask is lightweight and we can make it any shape or contour that we want to. And I keep trying to shrink the mask as much as possible. This is one that I made last year sometime. It was last spring, last summer. So this is almost a year old now. And so the cheek pieces go way back, all the way back to the ear. And, it goes way up on my nose and it comes way down below my chin. And this is a large mask for a large face. And so when it goes on my face, it covers everything. It covers the entire face, and the cheek pieces go all the way back to the ears and everything like that. So what we're trying to do is then, refine this mask so that it becomes perhaps a smaller mask that fits in a more discreet way in the front of the face and pulls tight, gives a good seal, and still does everything that we want it to do in terms of not muffling your speech and being able to breathe through. So I ask you guys, when I am talking like this, and then when I put this up in front of my face and continue talking, does this muffle the speech? Does it muffle the speech much in terms of pressing on my lips or making it harder to hear me? Or does it muffle it a lot? I need to know, like, does it muffle it 10%? Does it muffle it 25%? What do you guys think? What's your take listening to this right now? This is my regular speaking voice. This is my voice speaking to you through the mask. How much does that sound like I'm muffled?
Only like maybe 10%.
Okay. And when you guys, I don't know whether we actually have to go through the testing of other masks, like the ones that you get from the bookstore that kind of are just a big rectangle of stretchy material and they pull tight across your lips. But I would love, that's one data point that we could have when we're making a presentation next time, is if we get the question, how much does it make your voice sound more clear, or does it ease talking? We could say, well, this one seems to us from our ears, from our basic testing, to muffle 10%, and the other ones that pull across seem to muffle or interfere with speech more. And we could give a percentage like 25 or 30%. And we would be close. I think, if we make up numbers, but if they're close, then we're in the ballpark. And I think that since we're not researchers or we're not scientists, that's what we have to come up with. Let's see. Ethan, did you have a comment? I heard a male voice in there. Did you have a comment about muffling and stuff?
Oh, I was pretty much just gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say it sounds a little bit muffled, but hearing it in person, it's way better than masks, like just normal masks that we use.
Okay. The next thing, I guess, is breathability. The whole idea of having this thing have a hole in the back, a hole through the liner. And for some of these, I've been perforating, putting holes in the front of the cover so that I could breathe through. I brought a whole pile of crap in here. So when we're talking about breathability, I would like to actually be breathing through a filter. So this is the non-woven polypropylene batting that I've cut into a filter. And this is polypropylene that's been kind of welded together just a little bit more. This is the polypropylene facing that gets used. And pardon the little line across there. It's just, I cut that out of the pattern stuff. So this is polypropylene and this is polypropylene. And basically this is two layers of what is being used, I think, professionally as an N95 mask. The N95 mask makers are using this stuff and they're sandwiching about 5 layers into here. And they're sandwiching it between the little bit more structured polypropylene, the thinner stuff that is somewhat welded. It's not quite melt blown. This isn't a melt blown material, but it's one of the kinds of polypropylene that are available. It's still permeable. It's still breathable. This is really breathable. And I wanted to have something that was at least these 2 layers of polypropylene in the mask, so that the mask layers, and this is where I have effed up here a little bit because I took down my overhead bird's eye cam for the other day. So I wanted to, I want to do the bird's eye cam. I want my bird's eye cam back. Can I just take a minute here and set my bird's eye cam back up so that I can show you guys what I'm talking about? I'm going to do this and not knock over my coffee. Basically, I moved the framework off camera and away from my workspace. So this is the bird's eye cam frame, which is of course out of the shot because I'm such a professional. I'm so smooth. Okay, so here is the actual webcam coming up back into view here. And so we're going to turn on this webcam, flip into that camera, and we're going to move this out of the way so we can illustrate the point. The point is we want to actually be able somehow to show the layers of the mask. Now, these aren't actual mask pieces. I cut these out of the various pieces of fabric so that they would actually lay flat so I could do this demonstration today. So I'm going to basically build my mask sandwich in front of your eyes and then talk about it once again. So let's assume for a moment that this is a 3-dimensional mask. I got a webcam wire that's in the way over here. Okay, so this is our 3D mask from the front. And this is one of the problems with being a 3D designer, is that you build these 3-dimensional objects that actually go over someone's face. And so they're contoured and they are sewn and they are tailored to fit over someone's face, but it won't actually lay flat because now it's a what? It's a 3-dimensional object. So here's kind of a mock-up of our 3-dimensional object, just again, trying to illustrate the layers. And so we've got the cover layer, and eventually, this is what I wanted to do in a digital representation of some kind. And a digital 3D model is to be able to have this, as the mask form wrapped around a mannequin head, human head, so that we could then peel off the layers. So this is the cover layer, peeling back the cover layer to get to the mat, the batting, sorry, the batting layer. This is the batting layer that's the easiest to breathe through, but it's also thick. It is physically thick. It's a 1/4 inch thick, and it smashes down somewhat when it's smooshed into the mask. So it smooshes down to about 1/8 of an inch thick. But this does, the lion's share of the filtering. After that layer, we get to the backing layer, the facing or the backing layer, and this is that polypropylene facing that I was talking about. That's used in sewing, but that the mask manufacturers also use, just for making the masks out of. They sandwich the mask material between these two things, and they kind of they will weld it around the edges with heat so that they can weld all of the pieces together to make the N95 mask. And so we pull these out, and then this would be the piece that would be right up against your face, that your lips would be touching. So I got some pushback from my son over the weekend that he didn't like his lips touching the fuzzy surface of this kind of filter. And to be brutally honest, I have my worries about all filters that people are going to be used for breathing for quite a long period of time, because micro pieces of filter material break away and they get sucked into your lungs and they go down into your lungs. And the question is use of this over time, getting to be as dangerous to your lungs as asbestos fibers or silica fibers, any kind of tiny microscopic fibrous material that goes into your lungs. We don't want that to happen, because we don't want something that gets stuck in the alveoli of the lungs, and then causes disease processes to happen in the lungs. So because this is a non-woven it's a non-woven, really non-fabric. It is a bat material. I did kind of want to put this behind it so that your lips are up against this and you're breathing through this, and that would keep these fibers in check and keep them in place so that they wouldn't move. So then we peel away this layer and we get to the actual liner. And this is what the opening is supposed to look like in the liner, the part that actually goes around your nose and mouth, the part that you breathe through. The whole idea of the mask then is to try to turn the mask into a frame, just a framework that holds the filter becomes a respirator. That way we go from being a barrier mask to being an actually, multi-layered, designed respirator with multiple layers that do different jobs. And it's all integrated together and built into our mask that is still relatively thin, relatively lightweight, that, doesn't, pull down on the front of your face. And it's not difficult to breathe through, and it's not hot to breathe through or to wear for extended periods of time. And so that's the concept. Coming back to you guys now. So find the right switch, find the right stuff. It's been a hell of a weekend, and I'm just trying to get back on track here. So being able to present this thing to people who have never thought about this stuff before and who don't know what we're doing, trying to make a distinction between this mask and all other masks that are available, is, that's the sales trick. That's the art of making the presentation, making the pitch, and being able to be effective both in making our initial pitch and also trying to field the questions that they have that they're going to try to ask us. So again, those questions that they came up with, have you talked to any nurses about how they like the Olsen style mask? And so I did want to, write up a quick survey just on one piece of paper and, make about 20 or 40 copies of it and drop it off maybe at the hospital and at the North Bend Medical Center, and ask the administrators to ask the head nurse to give it out to the nurses to see if we could get some feedback on how they feel about Olsen style masks. We'd ask them about the comfort, the breathability, how hot it is it easy to speak through, and are there any other things that they'd like to see improvements on the mask. And we might make a little, a tiny little blurb at the top of this survey saying that a design class at SWAC is trying to design a better Olsen style mask. And so we'd like your feedback on, how you've been working with Olsen style masks for the last year. And is there anything that you can suggest to make improvements on, something like that? What do you guys think about that? Does that sound, to do the survey and to try to get the survey back in a week? Does that sound like a thing to do for? I know it's what the team needs to do. I would like our class to kind of be working along with the team to try to help to support the team like that. So I'd like you guys to think about these little tasks as I talk about them, because this is the work that I kind of need to divvy up with the class so that 2 or 3 class members might do the survey. And like one class member, and I'm sorry, Sarah, I keep looking at you, might be able to do the 3D computer generated model of the mask with its, trying to peel away the different components. And I thought about this. It doesn't have to be super animated or anything where the mask elements actually, magically peel away from each other, in a nice video. That doesn't have to happen. It could be just an image like you did of the head with a mask on, and then just have different frames, different layers that just like are a slideshow that go from one to the next, that just take off the layers of the mask to reveal the different layers of filter, and then finally, the liner, to kind of be able to show the viewer who doesn't know what we're talking about, the features of the mask, so that we can actually sell this thing up front with its innovative features. If we can sell the innovative features up front, then we don't have to labor quite so much answering the dumb questions later on about stuff. One of the dumb question areas that we do have to get into, and I'm going to go into this week, probably on Wednesday with you guys, is actual particle sizes, aerosol sizes, and what size of fibers and filter that we need to be down to be able to filter that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do a little bit of research on that stuff and try to create a presentation for you guys that picks up on the last couple slides that were in my PowerPoint presentation from last week, where I was talking about, here's what polypropylene looks like under the electron microscope. Here are the different sizes of the different weaves of the fabrics and stuff. And we're asking the impossible of filters. I mean, it's not like professional designers and corporations like 3M and other people who make this stuff, like they haven't tried, because everybody tries to do this conundrum, the impossible thing. They want to filter out 100% of nasty particles, and they have to be able to make the mask breathable so that you can breathe through it at normal breath pressures and normal breath volumes. And that's a whole thing. So I'm going to talk about, breathing and breath pressures and breath volume. I'm going to talk about the size of particles that we're talking about. I'm going to talk about masks, materials, and also the dynamic nature of mask materials. What happens when you go from a dry mask to a wet mask? One of the things that all of these mask manufacturers tout about their wonderful filter materials is that not only is there a mechanical filtration process, but there's also an electrostatic filtration process. If there's a little bit of a charge on the polypropylene and it's a negative charge or something, and you've got positively charged ions that are either aerosol particles or uh, virus particles, that with an electrostatic charge, you can attract those particles to the fibers in the mask and capture them, in the filter. And so they don't go down your throat. The question for everybody is, what happens in the dynamic nature of wearing a mask over time? After 10 minutes, your breath, the moisture from your breath, has pretty much dampened and saturated the fibers with some kind of, breath moisture, which is not water. It is bodily fluids of some kinds. It's breath moisture. So it's water vapor, but there are also oils and other kinds of products in our respiration that are also part of that water. And so when that water moisture coats all of these fibers, what does that do? Does that take away the electrostatic charge in the polypropylene material? And does it replace it with something better? The question is, do moist fibers actually have an adherence property that can make particles stick to them because they're wet, because it's a wet, moist trap for wet, moist particles that might be aerosols going through the air. So anyway, those are some of the questions that we're going to try to answer by Wednesday with you guys. Okay, last thing, and then I'm going to ask you guys if you have like any of your projects that you want to share at all. If anybody was able to make anything that was a three-dimensional model over the weekend. I put a due date on there of like this evening with an extension, to the end of the week. And I can't remember now. I haven't looked. If the due date is tonight or if it's Wednesday, and then the extension goes till Friday or Saturday or whatever. But anyway, it's a soft deadline for trying to make the three-dimensional either mock-up or prototype. So if you don't have a sewing machine and you can't, sew, I'd like you guys to go through the process of making the paper thing. Make some kind of a paper model of either our mask that we're working with right here in the class, or your variation on it. If you wanted something different, if you wanted a different shape, a different kind of three-dimensional structure, you have to work that out in some kind of a 3D mask. If you happen to have sewing ability and sewing machine, and if you're doing this, with a sewing machine, then you can skip or kind of work through that process to get you to an actual mask that you can wear. What I wanted to do for the rest of this week for the class is continue the mask making workshop that was kind of badly done and didn't come up with very good masks the first time we did it on Saturday, a week ago Saturday. And so what I'd like to do is this week during school days, Monday through Friday, be here with my seamstress buddy and have you guys come in once again and use my new and improved pattern, or use your pattern that you've come up with, or some kind of synthesis of patterns, because I'd like you guys to cut out in real material pattern pieces that we can sew together to get your mask, get you a mask, probably two masks, if possible. At least one mask that is the kind of the one that I'm providing for you, the basic Olsen style mask. If we can all get something sewn up like this with a filter pocket in it, I'd love you guys to be beta testing this thing this week to see, how does it feel? Can you breathe through it? Can you speak through it? Does it do all the things that I claim that it does? I need a bunch of beta testers to actually make masks that fit your faces, small, medium, and large, and put ear loops on them and then tighten the ear loops so that the ear loops actually hold the mask, so that you get a really good seal on this, so that it doesn't fog your glasses, and so that you can breathe through it comfortably. And we're really testing how the mask fits, how the speaking goes, how the breathing works. And we are going to test our own kind of model for a filter system. And so you guys can cut then filter pieces to go inside your mask. And I've been running the masks with just this to be able to promote as much breathability as possible. You might want to try that. You might want to try the other kind of polypropylene that has a little bit more of a finish to it, or you may even want to try the two polypropylene types together in a sandwich to really see whether this, when this side is next to your lips and when it's up against your mouth like this, and can you breathe through it? What is the actual breathability of this much filter? Or does this much filter impede breathing so much that then it's pushing vapors, to the outside? Because I can already see my glasses fogging up as I'm talking to you guys. There is a lot of vapor being pushed around the edges, especially right now. It's being pushed up into my eyes and my glasses lenses. But I don't have this inside of a mask. And when I have this nose covering, this part that actually goes over the bridge of the nose and contours to my nose, and I've only got one piece, one thickness of polypropylene in this. I'm not feeling the leakage. I'm not getting the fogging on my glasses at all. Is there anybody here who actually wears glasses in this class? Do any of you guys wear glasses?
I do.
You do. Do you wear glasses on a regular? Who's that?
I do also.
Yay, fantastic. Okay, we got at least 3 glasses wearers here, because this is part of the test that I really need to wear or to figure out, is if you can do what I do, which is kind of tuck this underneath the glasses so the glasses are coming down on the top of it. And then between that and the amount of tightness that we can tie this around the ears, can we? And then you also almost have to break in the mask and train it every time to try to get the gases to go out the front of the mask and not out the edges and the sides of the mask. Because every time I loosen up and do something, then I'm getting fogging happening on the glasses. But that's the concept. I don't want to lose track of Maddie's design concept, where she had a plastic plastic structure. It was
Do you want me to show everyone what it looks like?
Yes, please. That'd be fantastic.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and change the pin to you. And so I'm going to pin this. I'm going to replace the pin to your thing. And then are you going to be able to turn on your webcam? And I know. Oh, there we go. Okay.
This is the plastic piece that I was talking about. It goes, let me get my mask.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my mask, and this is the nose piece. This mask is too big for me. Someone stole my smaller mask, so I have to wear this one. But this piece would go like, this piece would go like this inside, and it helps with speaking ability. And when I put it on, you can clearly still hear me, and I can breathe perfectly fine. It's breathable. People can hear me when I talk. My words come out clear. I don't feel muffled. I don't feel like I'm suffocating, or I don't have any fabric pressing against my mouth. And so I really like the idea of somehow getting this piece constructed into our mask, so that way when people buy our mask, that these are interchangeable filters as well. And Mr. Fritz, with your filter idea, how you don't like, or your son said that he doesn't like the way it touches his mouth, this could actually help with that and push it forward, so that way people don't inhale the fibers and all of that. and they don't feel like it's touching their mouth and stuff. And I think it's also really good for girls because us girls like to wear lipstick, and this keeps the mask away from smudging our lipstick and stuff when we want to wear it. So yeah, that's what it
really
looks like.
your demonstration just now made a believer out of me. I really like that. I don't know if you can actually do any research to find out who made that or what it's called, and to, because I'd like to find out the company and maybe some contact information, because if we need to order those as parts or work with that supplier, to put that into manufacturing, it would be really good to use a ready-made part that's already available and that's in the supply chain, so that we don't have to reinvent that part of the wheel. That would be great.
Yeah, my mom actually got this from I think from China. So she knows more information about it. So I'll ask her who she got it from. But she told us that all we have to do is rinse it after we use it, so that way it gets all the sweat stuff off. And then she said like we have to change these every 6 months. So they're able to last quite a while. People would only have to probably change them out every 6 months, and then they'll be good. I haven't changed mine out though, and I've had it maybe for like a little bit longer than 6 months. So I think it's pretty good. It's just like a plastic little piece.
Yeah, well, and because it's plastic, it could do other things. Like it could go in the washing machine on cold, and that wouldn't hurt it. It could just, it could wash with your socks and everything else. And, as long as you fish it out and not put it through the dryer, I think it would be fine. I had a thought about throwing it in the top rack of a dishwasher, but sometimes, the heat cycle, the drying cycle in a dishwasher would melt the plastic or deform it in some way. So I think that washing in cold would be good. But everything you can do for Americans to make it easier and simpler and no brainer is a good thing, because we don't take care of anything.
Yeah.
We don't like maintenance. We're kind of high maintenance people, but we don't like to maintain anything. So yeah, trying to figure out how to throw it in the washing machine would be really good. Do you suppose that was something that just could be got on Amazon.com?
I think so. Honestly, I really think so. I don't think we have to just get it from a specific person. Unless you want the specific design, then I think we could just probably find something on Amazon.
Okay. So if I use the search terms like plastic mask frame or plastic mask liner frame or something like that on Amazon, I can probably get to that pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll look into that. That sounds pretty good. Okay, I'm
Mhm.
checking the time, and thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna steal back wherever I am. Where am I? I'm here. Okay, because I got to be like, you know. I put the pin on me so that you guys have something to look at, even if there's not much actually to look at here. It's like it's structure to this thing, which kind of helps. Okay, so trying to figure out mask fibers, mask materials, and all of the properties of masks. We do have to know. We have to know something. We have to know the size of the aerosol particles, which is like a little tiny droplet of water that could contain virus. And then we have to know the size of the virus itself. And these are size ranges. But when we know these things, then we can answer questions a little bit more authoritatively, and kind of put some of these things to rest. Because if we can't answer a question, then it sits there as a nagging doubt in the minds of the jurors who are jurying our project. And if we can just say, this is the filter size and filter density range of filter fibers that N95 masks have, and this is what we're talking about, and here's what's actually effective in terms of filtering out particles. And we may not have to be up to the N95 standard, because that's something maybe for industry or the medical profession. But if you are a lay person out in the public, going around to public events and stuff like that, I mean, maybe we only really need N50% protection. And so we have to kind of come up with where we're going to take a stand on this, where are we in the range of filtration for this mask? And then going back to the beginning idea that any mask is better than no mask at all, and just trying to have a well-designed mask that people want to wear and that will provide some protection to create more of a mask wearing culture and a mask wearing public going forward into this spring and summer and fall. Everybody's going to get vaccinated. 70–80% may get vaccinated, by summer and fall. And if you guys want to go back to things like going to concerts, sporting events, going to school live and in person, I mean, we're really going to need to have a mask wearing culture in place for about the next year while we really try to get this pandemic under control, and so that it's just not a threat to our economy and our culture anymore. So mask wearing is going to be part of the process. I think my thing is for another year, and that's something we have to deal with. I looked up when the Academy Awards ceremony is going to be, and the Oscars, the Motion Picture Academy Awards ceremony for movies this year is going to be on Sunday night, April 25th. And so I think that's a couple of days before the next time that we have to do our Invent Oregon showcase thing. And so I'd really like you guys to think, if to try to see some aspect of the Academy Awards. If you don't have television, if you don't have cable or satellite TV, maybe try to catch some of the snippets of it on YouTube or something like that, because I would really like to see what the presenters and what all of the award recipients are wearing. And it's going to be a live thing. It's going to be at a large train station in downtown Los Angeles this year, so that they can do social distancing in the crowd. But I think as an award ceremony, as the Oscars, they usually like to all dress up in formal wear. So the men will be wearing tuxes and suits for the most part. The women will be wearing formal gowns. And so we will be able to see what designers are doing to try to coordinate masks with outfits. And it'll be pretty much the first time that people aren't just wearing off the shelf masks, but they're going to actually wear masks that might be good looking. And we know that Hollywood really likes to take up causes and try to do social justice stuff. And no matter how you feel about social justice warriors and that kind of thing, this is probably going to be something that they're going to be promoting in some way. The mask wearing and the trying to get back to normal. And getting back to normal means everybody getting a shot, or as many people as possible being able to get the vaccine, but also promoting mask wearing. So after the Academy Awards, we may see a total sea change in American culture and maybe world culture about people's attitudes towards masks. Because if their favorite actors and actresses are wearing masks and they're making it look good, if you can actually wear a mask and be glamorous or whatnot, that would be a wonderful thing. I think that they will probably be wearing the masks out in the audience, and then as they make their way up to the stage to accept their awards, and when they get to the microphone, they will probably be taking their masks off, because right around the microphone, there's probably going to be air circulating and air being pulled away so that they have fresh air and whatnot, so that they will be able to not have masks on while they're making their speeches. So it's going to be really important to see what they look like on the red carpet going into the Academy Awards ceremony, what they look like when they're sitting at their tables and in their chairs, and as they're walking up to the stage, because those are the times when you'll see them with the masks in place and their outfits on, to see how the designers are coordinating mask and outfit. Do they coordinate it with the shirt with the men? Do they coordinate with the jacket with the men? With the women, are they making it out of exactly the same pattern as the dress, so that it's exactly the same, pink chiffon or whatever, material, so that we can see how masks coordinate really well, because it's our only chance to see good-looking masks and to make our point then about how important an attractive, well-designed, good looking mask is in the overall sense of mask wearing culture, building a mask wearing culture. I say all this because it's not just good enough for us to be some, 3D designers someplace coming up with a great idea. We have to also design it so that it can be a successful product design. And successful product design is just, it's something that is so attractive and it's so good looking. And I'm not saying that this pattern is good looking. I'm saying that this shape as it floats on this face, is a fairly good looking, successful thing. And if we can refine this and tweak it and make it work in, the half dozen or so design criteria categories that we have, we will really be way out in front of all the other designers in being able to pitch a very successful mask design. So that's the concept. Let's see. I'm setting out some goals and work for myself, and I'm going to ask you guys on probably Wednesday if you will pick up certain aspects of the workload. So I'm going to probably write up a draft of the survey that needs to go out to the nurses, and then I'd like a team of like 3 of you guys to try to figure out that piece of it. If you don't have transportation or you're not comfortable going and talking to administrators at the hospital or whatever, I can do that part. But I'd like you to look over the draft, the 3 team members who might be actually doing the survey piece. I want you to look over the draft and add any questions that you like or take out any questions that you don't like so that we can get a finalized version of the survey. And then, I will take it over and distribute the surveys and then come back a week later and pick them up. I would like that team then to go through and tabulate the surveys so that we know how people feel who use the old school Olsen mask, how they feel about using the Olsen mask and its effectiveness, and if there's anything else that they would like to see, in terms of design change. If you guys can tabulate the results for that and then type up the results for that, that would be fantastic. And that would be what team 1 would do. Poor Sarah, I keep turning to her and asking about, is there any way to do this presentation as some kind of a, 3D design software kind of a thing? If yes, great. If no, we can even do it just in terms of a whole series of slides that are just different slides of the same thing, just showing the different fabrics and patterns as we would kind of, cut through the different layers of the mask. But that would be an awesome little teeny tiny slideshow to do. I mean, it could be just like, a bunch of slides. And we'll probably have to talk about that. If you have an idea on that, please don't hesitate to unmute your mic and let me know. Also, if I'm putting too much on you and you just don't or can't want to do this, let me know and I'll stop talking about it and move to some other kind of a way of presenting this thing digitally and visually. The other information about let's see, virus size, aerosol particle size, and relative mask fiber sizes, filter fiber sizes. I will get that researched and try to be able to present that on Wednesday. So we're going to go over that stuff on Wednesday. So for the rest of this week, I want to make Eden Hall available to anybody who can travel and come over here. Anybody who does not have an underlying condition or is able to come over, I would be happy to work with you to make available the different materials that I have here and allow you guys to cut out pattern pieces. You have to cut out the pattern pieces for your own mask, and then we can help sew them together and get them ironed out and everything so that we can actually construct masks for you to wear so that you can do beta testing with this mask design. I was hoping to have some kind of a thing where it's open on the back so that and possibly either perforated on the cover or using a fabric like the wool fabric that I was using from that suit material. That pinstripe suit was an open weave that was actually so breathable that it didn't need any perforation holes in the front of it, because I wanted to turn the entire mask into a filter, making the entire mask something that is just a framework to hold the filter material in place, but to turn this into a respirator that you can breathe through. So I want you guys to come in and use the patterns that we've got, the new and improved patterns, to cut out pieces and sew them together so that you've got masks that came out of this class that are something that you can proudly look at and say, yes, I was part of that design team and that design process. And you can, on the one hand, say this was the class mask, that was our point of departure, and then you can take your own design, which with whatever innovations that you've got in your own design, and say, this is what I did to change it and make it even better, or put my twist on it. And that would be an amazing thing to take out of a 3D design class. So it's almost 10 o'clock. I'm going to quit for the day. I have to go get my sewing buddy and bring her back here. I don't want 10 of you guys to all show up all at the same time. So, if your name is like, I don't know, in the early part of the alphabet, and if you can come in on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, that would be good. If your name is in the latter part of the alphabet, you can come in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, that would be good. And then, I'd only like to try to get, 1 or 2 people in here at a time, so that is a lot less exposure for everybody to the virus. I've got socially distanced workstations in there to do all the cutting and the piecing together of the mask pieces, the sewing, the ironing, and then actually the cutting out and piecing together of the filter pieces too. It's about a 5-step process. It takes about 2 hours to actually start from scratch to make the pieces and then sew together the mask for people. So you need about 2 hours to do that, or come back on a second time to finish your project. But I'll be here, today from about 10:30 with my sewer person until about noon. Then we need to take a break for lunch, and then we'll come back in the afternoon from like 1 to 3 and be available for sewing stuff today. And we'll do the same thing on Tuesday. We'll be available Tuesday morning from about 9 to noon, and from about 1 to 3 on Tuesday afternoon. And over those couple of days, we'll see how many people come in and how many people get some kind of a mask made. And then we'll try to catch the rest of you on the latter part of the week, on Thursday and Friday. I need Wednesday to go to meetings and stuff, so I can't really do it on Wednesday. Maybe I can do it a little bit on Wednesday morning, but I wanted to try to give you guys some spot on 5 days, so that everybody gets a shot at actually getting a mask created and sewn together for yourself. So there's all of that. This has been a really hot mess this morning. Sorry about that, but I needed to just kind of walk us through all of the, all of the ideas as we're trying to answer some of the questions and address our mask making process going forward. So we'll get back together for class discussion on Wednesday. If you guys have your mask designs, either a mock-up or a prototype mask, I would love it if you guys could show and tell these things on Wednesday, on webcam in front of God and everybody, so that we can actually look at and talk about some of these various mask designs. So that's what we're going to do on Wednesday. Until then, I'm going to go get my sewing person, because I've got several masks that I want to get sewn this morning. And if you guys come over, if a couple of you come over this morning, that'd be great. And if not, I've got masks to sew this morning, so it won't go unused, that's for sure. Maddie.
Mr. Fritz, I'm going to send you an email of a link that my mom used to get the little plastic piece, so that way you have an idea of where it came from and stuff like that.
Okay, well, I will just go right ahead and order 10 or 20 of them so that we've got them.
Okay.
I might as well have them on hand and throw them in a bunch of prototypes, and either you guys can wear them and see how they work, or we'll have them on hand as we're prototyping this thing, so that we can show them to the manufacturer, or to the Invent Oregon people. So I'll get 20 of them. Thank you. That's great. All right, I'm going to say goodbye for now. So I'll see you guys again on Zoom on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. Until then, have a really good middle of your week. Bye-bye.